Yoimiya. After her release in Update 2.1, she quickly became one of the most controversial characters in the entirety of Genshin Impact, with many players doubting her power level and the flexibility of her kit. As the cogs of Fury Crafting turn, it has become more and more clear over the past year that Yoimiya is completely fine numbers-wise, and things has only seemingly gotten better for her with the release of Yunjin and the new Echoes of an Offering artifact set. Truth is, all this new content and Fury Crafting has drawn everyone's attention away from Yoimiya's real problem that once upon a time caused a huge ruckus in the Genshin Impact community: her entire character's design. This is why you should never pull for Yoimiya. When you look at Yoimiya on paper, she isn't that different from other pyro DPSs. Stay on field, do some damage, then swap out. Her numbers actually backs up this claim quite well, as she deals very similar damage to both Hu Tao and Klee. Where is the design issue then? Well, I'm glad you asked. While theoretically, Yoimiya does similar damage to other pyro carries, her problem with her design mainly lies within her mechanics. With Yoimiya's weapon choice of a bow, you are often subject to the mercy of the auto-targeting's RNG to hit your targets reliably. The test trial of Yoimiya demonstrates this so well that I don't even need to explain what's going on here. On top of the lousy targeting, you're also lacking any form of AoE, making Yoimiya one of the only main DPS characters with this problem in the entire game. She also suffers from consistency issues as well due to her auto attacks vastly different scaling per attack, as if you've missed the 5th auto attack, huge amounts of damage would be lost. Aside from her auto attacks, her burst is also extremely poorly coordinated with her intended playstyle. Yoimiya's intended best-in-slot artifact, Shimenawa's Reminiscence, removes energy upon casting an elemental skill, which means it is difficult to obtain enough energy to cast her burst if no enemies are defeated to regain energy. All of Yoimiya's Ascension passives and constellations encourages her to be played in the manner of cast skill, auto until skill runs out, burst and swap, which, obviously, conflicts with the artifact set intended to be her best-in-slot. Speaking of constellations and Ascension passives, all of those also only help to bolster Yoimiya's damage numbers, with none of them helping to improve Yoimiya's gameplay experience/quality. For example, while Ito, Ayaka, and Kazuha's C1 all directly increase damage output, they also in some way or some form enhance the gameplay experience of said characters, with Ito's elongating the time of heavy attacking, Kazuha's adding another E for grouping and energy, and Ayaka's giving her on-field time meaning and helps recharge her energy quicker. This is something that is completely lacking in Yoimiya's design. All of the design issues makes Yoimiya very unenjoyable to play for the average player, and the funny thing is, not even spending money can make this experience any better. Very untypical of miHoYo. Also, why would you pull for Yoimiya when there are other pyro DPSs that's designed much better? Hu Tao is Yoimiya's primary competition, and she is much better designed than Yoimiya in almost every single way. Her method of dealing most of her damage is through using charge attacks. If timed properly, they can be animation cancelled if interweaved between normal attacks to not only create a fluid gameplay experience for the player, but also outputs very consistent numbers, able to trigger Vaporize on every hit. It can also hit multiple enemies that are very close to each other, which makes proper grouping of enemies very rewarding. Her burst also provides her with a great DPS environment thanks to its massive self-healing. This healing is the sole reason that a team of Hu Tao, Kazuha, Yelan, and Xinqiu will be viable after the Hydro Resonance buffs in Update 3.0, as a dedicated shielder or healer is not required for Hu Tao at all to keep her on the field. If we look at Hu Tao's constellations and passives, they all perfectly line up with her playstyle as well, with 2 out of her 4 non-talent level increasing constellations focusing on improving Hu Tao's gameplay experience in addition to buffing her already massive numbers. Compared to Yoimiya, her passive does not encourage any kind of playstyle on top of the ones suggested by her skills, and her constellations only buff her numbers and neglects to improve her completely lacking gameplay experience. The other pyro DPS that performs a similar role to Yoimiya is none other than Klee. While many players hate Klee's Catalyst weapon and her small character model, which makes it very hard to dodge, she is ultimately more fluid to play. Klee deals her damage through a combination of her charge attacks, normal attacks, and elemental burst. Her charge and normal attacks can be easily animation cancelled by simply jumping, while her charge attacks can be easily vaporized, meaning she is able to deal consistent amounts of damage. Her elemental burst just deals damage on its own, is damage unhindered by anything so long as its duration is not over. Klee's whole kit works very well in unison to support her playstyle. Her weapon, the Catalyst, ensures she has access to strong, normal, and charge attacks unconditionally, her skill having 2 charges to facilitate the defense shred of her C2 and proccing her charge attack passive, and her burst, which does damage all on its own, does not interfere with any kind of the normal charge attack stuff at all. Compared to Yoimiya, nothing in her kit works well with each other at all. Her weapon choice of bow makes it hard for her to reliably deal damage and vaporize her attacks, her elemental skill not generating energy on activation hurts if using the Shimenawa's artifact set, and her burst is meant to be casted right before she swaps out, which does not help Yoimiya in any way or form, keeping in mind most forms of buffs are lost after a character switches off-field. When looking at it like this, you can further see that Yoimiya as a character is very awkwardly designed compared to other characters. But how did this come to be? Why is Yoimiya so terribly designed like this? While I don't have an answer for you, CN might have a theory. In this video, posted on Bilibili by user Seemingly Amusement Park on the 19th of February, yes, it's literally what the name translates to, they discuss a theory on why Yoimiya might be either an unfinished character or a character that has their design tweaked from the original design. At the beginning of the video, they point out on how the supposed best in slot artifact set for Yoimiya, Shimenawa's Reminiscence, conflicts with her playstyle of auto attack Casper swap out due to its energy draining upon activation of the passive, and how they believe that the retracing bolide set is actually more suitable for Yoimiya as it provides the same buff but without the energy draining downside. They then go on to explain that as a character, Yoimiya's design is actually very unlike the old Leah characters of Ganyu, Xiao, and Child, which all have bad DPS environments and survivability, requiring a dedicated shieldler like Zhongli to ensure they can comfortably deal damage while staying on field. This design is highly unlike the ones of Inazuman characters like Raiden and Ayaka, who deals huge amounts of burst damage quickly and swaps off, which is the exact reason they can avoid using Zhongli and can get away with only healers like Kokomi and Bennett. With Yoimiya having a very bad DPS environment and her needing a shield, it makes a lot more sense for her to be using the Retracing Bolide set instead of the Shimenawa's Reminiscence set, as it not only pairs very well with Zhongli's massive shield, but also avoids the problem of not being able to cast her burst. Using this information, Seemingly Amusement Park concludes that it must have been one of these two possibilities. Either Yoimiya's design was drastically altered to try and force her to fit in with the playstyle of using the Shimenawa set, which uncannily has aesthetics heavily resembling that of Yae Miko's, another character that is without a dedicated artifact at the moment. Or that Yoimiya was an incomplete character designed back in the Leah days only to be scrapped together for the Inazuma's release, as seen with her old style of mechanical design. Now, whether this theory holds any water, it again exposes the true underlying problems of Yoimiya that will never be fixed with any amount of new teammates, weapons, and artifact sets. So in conclusion, I would not recommend pulling for Yoimiya due to how her mechanics are from a bygone age of Genshin Impact. Her playstyle, while straightforward, is more reminiscent of older DPSs like Diluc and Keqing rather than the new Inazuman characters, which focuses on team play rather than solo carry. If you really like Yoimiya as a character, then pull for her. Her damage is actually very comparable and in some cases can even surpass other Pyro DPSs. Just don't say I haven't warned you about this antiquated playstyle of hers that can't even be fixed by pulling for C6R5. What do you guys think? Do you enjoy playing Yoimiya? Let me know in the comments down below. This is Atomic, and I'll see you guys the next time.